Okay, my algebra people, here we go on chapter 8. Now notice at the top that we are starting at 8-6. We are not starting at the beginning of chapter 8, and that is very, very purposeful because chapter 8-6 talks about solving quadratic equations by factoring. And why would we not start with this since we just are finishing up factoring with chapter 7? So we already know that our quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c. Now we're looking at it when we're trying to solve when y equals 0. Because it says 0 here, but this is if we have y equals 0 in order to get our x-intercepts, right? That's what we're shooting for, okay? So notice on here, though, that a and b and c need to be real numbers. Of course, they can be positive and negative integers, but they have to be whole numbers, all right? Okay. So, and we kind of already know this. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is the zero product property. And this says, and this was in Hidden Figures, that if a product is equal to 0, if an equation is equal to 0, like y equals mx plus b, or in our situation, a quadratic equation, when y equals 0, then we're solving for our x-intercepts. And because we know that quadratics has a curve to it, there usually are 2 points that hits the x-axis. So with this, when we factored out this polynomial, we solve when they equal 0 because we want the the x-intercept, right? So on here, we're going to see that x equals 3 and y equals -7. Okay? So that literally means when we go to graph this on our x-axis, we are talking about y being -7. Pardon me. -7 and x being +3, right? That's what we're talking about. And we know, we haven't looked at it further, but we know this is going to go this way or it's going to go this way. We'll talk about that more in a minute. So if I have factored out just the x here, so this would have been 2x squared plus 5x, and I factored it using GCF, I would solve saying that when x equals 0 and 2x plus 5 equals 0, and I need to solve. So my x values are going to be 0 and -5/2, which is closer to, well, it is -2.5. So we know on this one, x will be 0 and -5/2 or 2.5. And it's either going to go like this or it's going to go like that. But again, we'll talk about that more later. So, if I solve by factoring, which we've done this, I could use Xbox, and I know that I'm going to have x plus 5 and x plus 2. Then, in order to solve for my x-intercepts, I solve when they equal 0. So I get x is -2 and -5. So this quadratic I can tell you a little bit more about because it already says that there is a positive number here. In front of the x, it is positive, so I know it's going to turn up to be a happy face. And my x-intercepts are -2 and -5. And somewhere it's going to go like this because this is positive. Okay? All right, let's move on. If I have x squared plus 2x equals -1, I have to solve when it equals 0. So obviously, I'm going to need to move that -1 to the other side to make my equation equal 0. And now I can solve by factoring. Right? I can use Xbox. And when I see that, I know that it's going to be 1 and 1, because 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2. And now I solve when they equal 0. So I'm going to get x is -1 and -1. Well, what does that mean? Well, it more than likely means that when we go to graph it, the -1 is more than, the -1 is more than likely the vertex, right? Okay. So now I need to go ahead and solve when this equals 0. So it's easier to move the 2x squared. And I can see this is standard form. I need to factor. I can take a GCF out. And now I need to either use Xbox or just see that it is a perfect trinomial. And now on this one, I see that x equals 3. So we're still looking at that one time it touches the x-intercept, which is 3, which is the vertex. Go ahead and try here, solve by factoring. And we call this solving for our x's, or our x-intercepts. Let's see how you did. Did you get x plus 6 and x minus 2 when you factored? And then you solve when they equal 0. So you subtract the 6 and you add the 2. So what happens when we have something like this? Well, I know that I can factor in here. I take out a GCF and I have a difference of 2 squares. So I know this is going to be plus or minus 4, because when I have x plus 4 equals 0, that's going to be -4. And when I have x minus 4 equals 0, that's going to be positive 4. Now we have a factoring by grouping. And I go ahead and group. To take a GCF out. And regroup. And then I solve when they equal 0. So I'll have -4/5 and -1. And that's okay to have fractions at this point. Okay, the homework for today is 8-6 in your textbook. We're doing 20 through 31, 39 through 40, 43, 45, and 49. Be sure to show all your steps and all your work. All right, have a great day.